Great engineering requires creativity and innovation, two characteristics of outstanding art. Can we visualize a landscape where the boundaries between art and engineering are blurred? Can we picture a curriculum in which the educational obstacles imposed by historic customs of separating students into the various disciplines are removed? Can we imagine a world beyond ourselves, on the interface of creativity, at the edge of a dream of saving the world? We might have to rethink our views on the interplay between art and engineering. We might have to deconstruct some of the familiar concepts of the structures in which we teach and learn. So let's see where that thought takes us. Much of engineering education is devoted to the applied sciences, mathematics, and basic engineering principles. And that's as it should be. Imagine flying at 600 miles per hour, 35,000 feet, over the open ocean, at night, hundreds of miles from an airport, in an airplane designed by engineers that really didn't understand applied science, mathematics, and engineering. It's a scary thought. So I'm not here to talk about transforming engineering education. And I'm not here to talk about how to get engineers and artists to work closer together, even though that's a good idea. Indeed, if we want to save this world, we must move onto the interface of art and engineering. We must travel outside of our comfort zone to create that next generation of problem solver. Imagine that capable high school student in the math and science choosing a creative career, not just because they want to contribute to the cultural heritage of the world, but because they want to save the world. Imagine that capable high school student in the arts deciding to pursue a technology career, not just for the promise of a good job upon graduation, but with the intention to invent technologies to help people, thereby creating career opportunities for the billions of people who have no job and no hope. Recently reported by the BBC, Sir John O'Reilly said, and I paraphrase, that engineering and technology is becoming an increasingly diverse and creative domain. The two peoples can work well together, and a little more emphasis on creativity and engineering can lead to more successful products. So we are on the right path. But for me, it's more than just about having engineers work alongside artists. It's about engineers and artists being one and the same. Building a bridge between our passion and our precision in our own minds. Think about it. Creative engineering, an accredited undergraduate program, a little less technical than a typical degree in technology, a little less art than a typical curriculum in the design curriculum, but more impactful and more relevant to many of today's students and the industry. So how do we create a place where curricular innovation occurs in academia? Well, we know that when engineering students work on teams with students from other disciplines in a multidisciplinary fashion, we know that the intellectual collisions that can occur often lead to creative new solutions. Faculty across the country are embracing the idea of student-centered active learning. That is, providing hands-on experiences where students learn by doing, typically in a multidisciplinary setting. And I am a passionate proponent of creating teaching and learning environments which are focused on addressing global challenges. It's about helping people. And in this way, we provide faculty and students the opportunity to learn by doing the real thing. And so sure, we can characterize our programs as having a level of discovery learning that includes some significant student-centered active learning. But I'm afraid that if this is all we do, that we will leave many students behind. Students who are being forced to choose engineering or to choose art when they in fact would be more comfortable, more capable on the interface of art and engineering. Students like myself who had to make a choice when in fact I would have preferred to have had the opportunity to live on that interface between art and engineering. So you say, well, that's true, but we can bring engineers and artists together. And I think that's a good thing. But if I want purple, I can paint red and blue adjacent. And maybe there'll be some overlap. And if I look hard, I might be able to detect purple. But what if I mix the red and the blue before I paint? Then I get the result that I truly am seeking. In the 1960s, the race for the moon spawned a generation of engineers and scientists and really inspired us to reach higher. It also forced us to look at our Earth in a new way. That Earth where today, every 30 seconds, a child dies from the lack of access to clean water. So it occurs to me that it is time to spawn that next generation of problem solver. The undergraduate student on the interface of engineering and art, where creativity and innovation are natural. For hundreds of years, we have pursued excellence in research and teaching. Higher education has opened the doors to reveal bright possibilities. But our world is now struggling. Our world is transitioning, and we must transition with it. 200 years ago, only 3% of our world's population lived in cities. Today, 47% live in cities. And it's projected that in 20 years, 60% of the world's population, or over 5 billion people, will live in cities. There are already 500 population centers of 1 million people or more. So our world thirsts for clean water. It starves for secure and renewable energy. We wish for safe and efficient transportation. The health needs of our human population are not being met. And the most vulnerable among us are often left without access to the technologies to lead productive lives. Now, engineering will play a key role in the solution to these problems, but engineers cannot do it alone. The educational procedures and methodologies to problem solving in the last 100 years simply will not save the world. What we need are creative engineers working alongside of engineers and artists and doctors and nurses and pharmacists and lawyers and entrepreneurs and so on. Now, our engineering accreditation process typically provides curriculum requirements for subject areas appropriate to engineering, but they don't prescribe the courses that we take. As faculty members, that is our responsibility to create the curriculum that meets the educational objectives and outcomes that we set for ourselves. So we know that in engineering, we need 1 year of college-level mathematics and basic science appropriate to the discipline. And we need 1.5 years of engineering topics in engineering science and engineering design, again, appropriate to the discipline. And then, of course, we conclude this with general education courses to round out the technology courses. Now, can we not imagine a curriculum of applied science, mathematics, and engineering applicable to the discipline of creative engineering, integrated with art and design courses in as much of a 100% redesigned curriculum as possible? Not just taking courses that we have and putting them together, but starting fresh. I can. So if you are one of the many students that feel left behind, left out, like I did, there's hope. Hang in there. I think that working together, we can imagine a partnership between art and engineering that will create the next generation of problem solvers that will indeed save the world. Thank you.